coming. I made it. Thanks to everyone for being here for the Phorum conference. There's a number of us that worked really hard on a steering committee this year for a lot of months, and we're particularly proud of what we put together today. I've got the pleasure of introducing our next panel, Getting Control of Chaos. And let me make clear what this next panel is not. This is not going to be a lecture by my wife of how she handles our 4 kids every day. Instead, it's a panel presentation by an esteemed group dealing with complex organizations, how they deal with their technology and their needs, and how they integrate them every day. Leading this panel is Jonathan Brasington, CEO of Liquid Hub. Jonathan is one of our best and one of our brightest in this region. I have the pleasure and the privilege of firsthand experiencing his leadership on the board at PACT and in many other initiatives that he is involved in pushing for us. As you well know, Liquid Hub is one of our region's best companies, and Jonathan has done an amazing job leading it both as a co-founder and now as CEO. So without further ado, Jonathan Brasington, Liquid Hub CEO.
Sound check. Good morning, and thanks for making it out here in the inclement weather. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just setting up the discussion, and then I'm going to introduce a panel of industry veterans from a variety of sectors here in Philadelphia. So without much ado, I'm going to use a couple slide props here to set the context, right? So we're going to be talking a lot in our panel conversation around getting control of the chaos. Tony, cue slide 1. So while we're doing that, context here for us is that large enterprise today, large, medium, small enterprises are going through a rapid transformation in terms of their technology and digital assets, driving transformative business value. The context of that is driven by multiple converging and colliding trends that are impacting us both at a business as well as a technical or technology level. I'm not going to spend time on these data points. You probably don't need to spend a ton of time reading the trade rags. 3 billion users on the internet and soaring, 133 terabytes of Facebook data uploaded daily. Right? We've got massive and overwhelming statistical data points that are saying that this is a phenomenal trend, and this is a trend that's here to stay. But underneath it, there's a lot of sub-elements to this. Social, mobile, analytics, cloud, Internet of Things, lots of activity. So we're going to spend time talking about how do you manage these converging activities, both at a business and technology level, and how does that lead to transformative business change? Next slide. So all of that makes interesting conversation relative to technologists, and there are many of us in the room. But from a business point of view, we have to change the focus of the conversation to why does it matter? Why is this even relevant? And overarchingly, a key data point here is the concept of the customer and the changing needs of the customer. And not just the context of what does the customer want, right? In the comments or context of I want it to be easy, I want it to be personalized, I want it where I want it when I want it, via all the touch points and channels, social media, web and portal, storefronts, CRM, online ads, online payment mechanisms, and the very context that as customers, as consumers, we're overwhelmed today by choice. We're overwhelmed by access. We're flooded by brands. So we're sitting within a sea of choice and brand discovery. Next slide. So if we take a step back and we ask about this in the context of the emerging digital customer, what are the questions that they're asking us as enterprise leaders to deliver, both on a business and technology level, right? So take the context from a customer journey. Early morning, you wake up, you got your smartphone, you're skimming through emails, you're checking the weather updates, you're an active commuter, you're doing things you shouldn't be doing while you're driving, you're doing them anyway, stop doing that. But you're getting your car's tweeting activity at you, you're getting heads-up display activity, you're on calls. You get to work, you've got your desktop at work, you probably have got multiple screens, you've got your iPad, your phone, your PC. You're going to the coffee shop, lunch, breaks, you're interacting personally, you're interacting professionally relative to your day job. Tapas with friends in the evening, late at night. We are the multi-screen generation. We are multitasking. We're living both our personal life, our work life. We've got lots of activities, right? This is the age of the millennial customer today. This is the context. So without much further ado, I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to introduce the panel. So as I said before, we're really fortunate to have representation from several industry veterans. So first, I'd like to call Dr. Matthias Kirchner to the stage. So Dr. Kirchner is the Managing Director and Co-CEO of BPMD. I'd like to invite Steve Massaris, CIO and Senior Vice President of Liberty Property Trust. Next, I'd like to invite Aaron Miller, Vice President and Chief Technology Officer of U.S. Liability Insurance, a Berkshire Hathaway company. I'd like to invite Jay Raymond, Senior Vice President and CIO of Cooper Health System. And last but not least, Mike Reinhart, CTO of Fox Rothschild. So this is the heavy content of the session. Thanks to all of you for volunteering your time so generously and being able to share your insights and thoughts with our audience. So what I'd first like to do, and Mike, if you wouldn't mind starting, is if each of you could give a minute on your background, a little bit on your firm and what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. Mike Reinhart, I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Fox Rothschild. We're a Philly-based law firm with over 21 offices, coast to coast here, north of 600 attorneys, a little over 1,300 people. I've been with Fox for about 3.5 years. Prior to that, I was with VWR International, a global life science distribution company out of Radnor here in the Philly region. Thank you.
Jay?
Hi, my name is Jay Raman, and I'm the Senior Vice President CIO at Cooper University Healthcare. Cooper is the only level 1 trauma center in South Jersey. We're an academic medical center with 1 hospital and about 600 physicians. We do train about 300 residents and fellows every year. And I've been with Cooper for about 3 years.
Fantastic. Aaron?
My name is Aaron Miller. I'm the Chief Technology Officer with USLI. We are a Berkshire Hathaway company, and we specialize in small business insurance as well as select specialty products for special lines within the E&S carrier market. We value ourselves on high-value products, speed, quality, and support of our customers. And that's really what we want to specialize in, is how can we best support our customers so that they can then support their customers to deliver value throughout the life cycle of the policy.
Thanks, Aaron.
Good morning. My name is Steve Massaris. I'm the CIO for Liberty Property Trust. Liberty is a commercial real estate landlord, and our products vary from the Comcast Center here in Philadelphia to say, a 1 million square foot industrial distribution center out in Lehigh Valley. We have offices throughout the United States and over in the UK.
Matthias?
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Matthias Kirchner. I'm co-CEO of BPMD. BPMD is a service company that works with organizations to establish and apply the discipline of value-driven business process management. That means we work with companies to transfer their strategy into people and technology-based execution and do that at pace with certainty. We help companies to figure out where to focus on, what are the high impact, low maturity processes, how to improve them, and then how to build the governance and management infrastructure to keep those processes on track.
Fantastic. So welcome to all 5 of our panelists, and let's have some fun. So the first question I'm going to pose to you is, what does digital mean to your organization? So Jay, if you wouldn't mind leading off this one.
So I think digital means different things, and it's really a whole of a number of parts. So you could call social as digitization, you could call mobile, you could have cloud-based computing, you could have the consumerization of IT, so for example, BYOD, and analytics above all. I think today the world is driven with analytics. I know when I go to the grocery store, they know exactly what I buy, when I buy, and they issue me coupons appropriately. So I think in our world, we touch every one of this on a daily basis.
So I'm going to open it up to the rest of the panel. Anybody want to add context on what does digital mean to your organization?
Yeah, digital means for us a new way of helping our clients to realize even more value. It's another set of tools that help you to improve, optimize, and simplify your high impact processes.
And for us, Jonathan, digitization was really taking information that was held in silos before and weren't really shared across the business or with our customers. And what we've done is we've really tried to take that information and democratize it and make it transparent across the entire organization.
Digital for USLI is really about enhancing the customer experience. We see it as a partnership with our business people and the technology enabler to help that communication happen more quickly, more efficiently, and deliver the right message at the right time, whether it's through face-to-face human interactions through digital means, or whether it's through the sharing of data across the insurance channel. Really, to us, it's about communicating effectively as well as efficiently.
Yeah, and then digital at Fox, I would say, is on the customer side as well, but also on the internal process and efficiency side. I would say law firms lag a little bit sometimes, other industries and technology, and digital to us is an opportunity, I think, to catch up and maybe go beyond where we were and help tie together processes, services, and solutions, and help bring better value more timely to our customers.
So as key technology leaders and the CEO of a BPM platform company, the question I'll ask is, especially to the CIOs, how does this drive your management initiatives when you sit with your business and executive leadership teams to talk about business transformation? And what initiatives would you say do not have a digital component? Right. So when you're sitting having this conversation, how is digital, from a transformation perspective, driving your management initiatives? And are there things that you'll say, it just doesn't matter? So Aaron, I don't know when you want to lead this off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to partner with the business, and so we ask our customers, hey, what can we do to better service you? And then we think about how the technology can be an enabler for delivering that value. So we really want to make sure that A, we are listening to what our customers are asking for, and then B, thinking about how digital can play a role in servicing them more effectively. So when we talk about strategic initiatives at USLI, we say, okay, what are we really trying to do from a business perspective first, and then take a look at the technological landscape and supplementing that business value with the technology implementation on top of it, whether it's mobile technologies, web technologies, any sort of technology that's up and coming. And we also spend some time as well doing some research and development into what is disruptive technology mean to the insurance industry and how can we play a role within it. We don't want to be the bleeding edge, but we do want to be on the leading edge of technology trends. So when we have these conversations from a planning perspective, we think about how can we deliver, again, that business value through the use of technology as well, while keeping the customer experience in mind.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. So to supplement that, I would say also, I think as technologists, we have an opportunity or a perspective across the enterprise where I think we can not only work with the business and understand business value and customer value and leverage technology to help enhance or improve that experience, but I also think we can come to the table with ideas as we see the enterprise and see the portfolio and see the explosion of digital information. I think we can also bring to the table ideas on how we can better leverage that newfound data, those newfound sources of information, and help bring those ideas to the business to help enhance our business value, our business experience, our customer experience.
Jay?
So in healthcare, as you know, there's a projection that 20% of our GDP is spent on healthcare in this country, and when you take other advanced countries, it's only about 7%. Healthcare has been a laggard in the US in terms of adopting technology, but the times are changing rather rapidly, partly because of regulation and partly because of what's the consumerization of technology. So we're working extremely hard to improve quality and reduce cost, and healthcare touches every one of us. And so we have now started adopting a lot of the technologies that are available in other industries towards healthcare. Today, as you know, you can go to a website called healthgrades.com, and it ranks hospitals in terms of mortality, morbidity. It ranks your physicians that you go to, and there's more and more demand by the consumer for information like that. So all our strategies now are aligned with how do we get the consumer much more engaged and keep coming back to our facilities by providing them the best quality healthcare we can at the lowest cost possible.
When I think about digital initiatives at Liberty, we really don't do any. We do business initiatives, and I think every one of those business initiatives have a certain input of technology and digitization of information, but we really don't do digital initiatives. We really try to take a hard look at a strategic level. What are we trying to accomplish? And we use various tools there and come up with significant business initiatives and capabilities that we want to build. And then throughout like a 3-year cycle, we'll attempt to continue to build our capabilities in those initiatives.
And I couldn't agree more. And if I look at organizations, there exists very solid research that a company only competes with about 15 to 20% of their processes. 80% are pure commodity processes. So if I look at innovation initiatives and sophisticated digital initiatives, I would only look at that in really this 15-20% of the core processes, and then understand exactly the issue behind it. And if it makes sense to launch, to add a digital component to the solution, great, and if not, even better.
Well, that's great comments. So if we go back to the context of this panel, right, and getting control of the chaos, from the overarching theme of silos to systems, right? One of the things I've heard consistently from business executives as well as technology leaders is the fact that within many organizations, small, medium, large, there is certainly the emergence of what I would call digital sprawl. There's lots and lots of siloed, innovative applications of technology, right? So there's mobile apps that marketing or the underwriting group and the health insurance might take on. There's analytics and external sources of data. So there's many initiatives, and they aren't necessarily coming together. So I'm going to lead up to a question here on governance, right? And if we think about the fact that a lot of the drive has been around going from pilots and proof of concepts of applications of disruptive technologies to driving transformation, business transformation, impacting customers, but a flow through to the entire business model. And you think about the context of at every level of execution, from multi-channel capabilities, mobile, social, responsive web, call centers, et cetera, to core platforms, bridging the silos of marketing, sales, transactions, and commerce or service, and then at the data layer, integrating all your data sources so that you could be more predictive and enable an advanced customer interaction, right? So if we take the context that there's a lot of things happening within your respective organizations. So from a governance point of view, what techniques, what management techniques, tools, approaches are you applying to get control of the chaos? So I'll open it up. Mike, do you want to lead off?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. Yeah, so that's a tough one in today's day and age with the explosion of digital data, the explosion of cloud computing. It's very easy to get solutions in place. It's much different than it was years ago, where you had to go to your IT department and beg and plead to get on a approved list for a project and get that implemented. So it is a totally different environment today. I would say from an IT point of view or tech point of view, my role is to bring value and an understanding and a business partnership to the other departments that I work with that help support ultimately our clients. So I think a lot of those philosophies of years past still apply. The integration layer that you mentioned, Jonathan, is critical. The enterprise view of that data is critical. The efficiency and lack of duplication of initiatives and technologies and solutions is there. But I think ultimately you have to enable your business to grow and enable them to take advantage of that while partnering with them to help maybe steer and guide a little differently than maybe you did in years past.
Yeah, I think you just hit the nail right on the head there. It's more of a partnership, and if you need to view your technology organization as a partner with the business versus a service or a ticket taker. So you need to understand exactly what they're trying to accomplish, and then you got to think to yourself, okay, I hear what you're saying. Who else needs to know this? Who else can benefit from this initiative, and where is it going to fall with everything else that we have going on within the organization? So having a framework in place of how your data is going to flow throughout your enterprise, and then externally as well too, thinking about, well, how would my customers want to consume some of this data? Are we building it in a way, are we going to build it in a way where it can flow throughout the organization and then externally as well too? Or are we heading down the path of, let's just set up another silo here? So it has to be in the forefront of your mind, and you have to constantly be aware of what's going on within your business as well as your technology organization to make sure these things are in alignment. And then as these things get requested and communicated, you are then communicating back out to your business people as well as your customers. Hey, could you benefit from this as well too? This is where we think we're going with this request. Give me some of your feedback. Feedback's important. So being engaged, communicating, all of those things are important when you're talking about governance.
So we, in healthcare, it's slightly different. I have a slogan that I use now, business-driven, IT-enabled, which is really what the other folks have been saying. Okay, the business really drives the need because they're trying to either grow the business, retain their customers, improve quality, and with their help, along with the knowledge that we bring to the table, we enable the technologies and we share that. And it's all governed by a senior leadership governance structure that basically prioritize based on the cost and where the organization's going. So again, back to partnership, you got to work with the business in order to enable the right technologies for the right people and break down the silos that typically tend to exist.
And I think all the panelists have kind of covered most of the comments that I would deliver. The only additional piece that I would add would be IT technologists, at least at Liberty, are probably business people first and technologists second. If they don't know real estate, they really can't communicate. And I think the most valuable technical resource we can have is one that they can bridge the gap between the business and technology.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think that gap between business and technology is one, but as we have heard in several of the presentations before, that gap between the different business units and to make them think in an end-to-end customer-oriented way, that is absolutely key. And I think organizations have started to recognize that this does not just happen like that, but you need to organize it. You need to put a process and end-to-end governance in place as a kind of value network across the existing functional organization. And I think it's not a coincidence that more and more companies think about or have already put in place something like a chief process officer that exactly organizes that governance across the typical functional units.
That's a great point.
So Gartner wrote a report, I think over a year ago, that predicted that the chief marketing officer will spend more on technology by the year 2018 than CIOs, right? So this, being a technology guy myself, I'm like, that's kind of interestingly curious. So the governance question, we've talked a lot about the convergence and the partnership of business and technology, and I think we all agree here that digital is really a business transformation concept, right? So by definition, it is about the business technology partnership. But then we move from strategy to execution. So the question that really I'll pose to all of you, and Aaron, if you would mind leading this off, is who owns the digital mandate, right? Is it the head of marketing? Is it you as the CIO? Is it the CEO? Is it the COO? Who exactly owns the digital mandate? And contextually, who should own it, right? So recognizing that in many organizations, this is the beginning of a conversation relative to governance and execution, it may not be where it should be today, right? So we'll start with who owns it today and where should it go?
Well, we believe that it's a shared responsibility, and we all at the senior level are accountable for the impact that digital has within us as well as our customers as well too. So I own it, our CEO owns it, but what's important is that we have conversations discussing the impacts of what is happening specifically within the technology world, but then we are getting together as a leadership team and talking about, hey, how can our customers take advantage of this? How can we take advantage of this internally to make ourselves more effective, improve our quality, improve our speed, improve our products? So we have this process in place where we talk about it monthly. Hey, what's going on? Where are we with our projects? This new initiative was just announced. Do we want to spend some time taking a look at it? Do we want to spend some time investing in the research that goes into it? And then it's a shared decision. We say, yeah, let's go ahead. Aaron, you go ahead, and I want you to take a look and see what that means, and then get back to the group, the organization here. And we'll make a decision on whether we want to invest our time and our resources within that area. So again, it's about communicating what's going on. If our sales and marketing, if they're going out visiting customers, they're going into conferences, and they're hearing what they're looking for to better service their customers as well too. Again, we get back together as a group and we say, hey, how can we take advantage of this, or can we use this beyond just this one customer? Can we utilize this across the enterprise? So again, I'm going to keep saying it's about the communication effectively and shared ownership of the overall digital implementation.
Certainly our senior leadership allocates the resources and decides what it is we're going to accomplish and the initiatives we're going to take on. But when it comes down to a single project, there's always a tendency to have a certain amount of friction between business needs and making sure that the back-end systems are being shared, that it's taking a view a bit more than just the goal at hand. And so from that perspective, I think the architecture and how the data moves and how the data is shared is a bit more owned by the CIO, but then the application itself is a bit more owned by the business owner, whoever that happens to be. And it all has to work together if you have a feeling of confidence and you have trust in the entire team.
Yeah, I look at the situation a bit differently. I would even disagree that we have or need a digital mandate. I, as a company executive, I have a mandate to execute on my strategy. And whenever necessary, I need somebody in that organization who can bring in the input how a digital approach can help in that strategy execution. But I decide on that and on the value I get on it in a business context. And that's why I would give the responsibility for bringing the right degree of digitalization in a company clearly to a business person, for example, to the CPO that I mentioned before.
In healthcare, again, it's slightly different because we are a highly regulated industry. So, you know, sometimes it's also an education process because the business really is not able to take it to the next level in terms of how do I take the new technologies and apply them for our benefit. So we do have a governance committee, and you know, it's an education process to them, and you know, really sharing with them what the impact of some of the new technologies are. And for us, we definitely have to have compliance and legal because of all the privacy issues that we are bound by regulation. And people, process, and technology, they all have to be working together in order to get the organization to the next level.
Yeah, then lastly, I agree with a lot of the comments. We also do not have a digital mandate. However, we're aware of all the now available solutions and options that are available, and we look to take advantage of those to help our business value. And then from a governance point of view, I think we have a similar model where business leaders own the solutions in their space, and partnership, agree, is key, that the technology department needs to partner well with those groups, provide value with those groups, and that's a two-way highway, so that we can help with data privacy and regulation issues, and we can help with interfaces, availability, and traditional types of things like that. So I'd say we're sort of a hybrid of all those responses.
So let's agree for a second that, if we assume that digital, like anything that's a technology-enabled business transformation opportunity, that should be part of the overall business strategy, right? And you got lots of mundane activity, ranging from multi-channel integration to core platforms and end-to-end digitization of the enterprise, getting to paper-free environments, et cetera. Right, and then convergence of data and bringing external data in and big data and all these other magnificent trends, right? Let's agree on that for a second. But let's also tease out something for a minute, which is there's lots of disruption that's happening where the application of disruptive technologies or digital technologies is changing specific business models. So recognizing that we have a variety of industries represented here, from real estate to insurance, healthcare, and the legal profession, the question I'll ask is, what is the role of the CIO in driving digital innovation? Right? So what is the role of IT leadership in helping to do the discovery of how digital is transforming the business strategy today, and then rolling that into the execution plan? So, Jay, if you wouldn't mind leading this off.
Yeah, I go back to what I said earlier. It's IT is the enabler of the technologies. We bring to the forefront what technologies are available and how we can meet our strategic objectives using the technologies. And in healthcare space, it's a constant education of how we can enable, because we're about the core business of taking care of people, and sometimes these enabling technologies, while they're interesting, are not in the forefront of our strategic initiatives. But as I said earlier, things are changing, okay? The consumers are demanding stuff. We want the patients engaged with us. We want the patients out of the hospitals because that's the most expensive part of healthcare. So we are getting incentivized so patients don't come back and get readmitted into the hospital for the same disease state that they were discharged with. So unless we use technology, we'll never be able to get where we need to keep the consumer engaged. So it's a very important role for the CIO in terms of enabling the technologies in partnership with the business and educating them through the process on how these technologies will help them. And I would also add that it's not just about the technology in the business. You have to wrap around the right process for these technologies to work in many industries, healthcare being one of them.
I think a great example at Liberty, and I happen to think that looking forward and seeing how the customer experience may be different should be one of my most important things that I should be trying to accomplish as CIO. So probably about 6 or 7 years ago, we started to look at not just one technology, but a series of technologies, just cloud computing, wireless technology, big data, unified communications. And we looked at how all those technologies could work together and really impact how people use our real estate, whether it's like an office building, and how our tenants could change the way they utilize space. And in this case, they can utilize space a hell of a whole lot more efficiently, which is good for our customers, not necessarily so good for landlords if you're trying to lease square footage. But there's been a continuing trend, and we've seen it in the marketplace for probably the last 8 years, where tenants on lease terms can reduce the amount of space that they utilize by 15 to 20% just by taking on the technologies that are really commonplace today. The wireless technologies, mobility. People generally don't need offices anymore. You don't necessarily need specific private space. So we ended up partnering with a few consultants to try to figure out how to leverage this coming sort of negative trend and try to use it to our advantage.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think it becomes more and more important not just to know the technology and know about the technology, but to know a lot about the business impacts it can have. The technology itself will move outside the company. We have heard here about the cloud in the presentation before. I'm very convinced in 10, 15 years, 90% of the technology will be outside the company. What we need to understand is the business effects that we can get by getting it in. And then all the plumbing and everything will be done somewhere in the cloud, and you don't need really to care about it.
And I agree completely with that. And to supplement that on your question, Jonathan, about the CIO's role leading innovation in a digital age, I would think it's everybody's role in the company to lead that. We attend a conference here. There's a lot of great vendors here. I might, or someone else from my firm might be here and see someone here that might spark an idea that we think might bring value to our business. I would think myself or a member of my team or anybody in our firm would bring that back to our firm management and bring that up as a potential idea, focusing on the business value or customer value therein. And then I think back to the theme of partnership, I think if that's brought up by someone outside of the traditional IT department, that's fine, and that helps to promote innovation. Then I think there just needs to be that partnership so that as that idea becomes more real, we can tie that together from any regulation or data privacy concerns, any integration concerns, implementation concerns. So I think innovation, to be successful, should stretch across the enterprise, but then as it sort of comes up into your governance model, it gets tied in together properly.
To me, the role of the CIO, and really any real leader, is to make sure that you have the right people on your team. And those people have a vested interest in monitoring what's happening within the realm of technology, but then also they have a responsibility of learning the insurance business as well too. So the role of the CIO, I feel, is to make sure they're building an effective team and that those team members feel empowered to bring ideas forth, to bring ideas on how a disruption in technology could be used both internally within our enterprise, but then also with our customers as well too. So I feel the role of the CIO is to really make sure that they are building an effective team, and then that team is collaborating, communicating, and taking a look at these disruptive technologies and really vetting them for our future as well, too.
That's great. So I'm going to open it up for questions from the panel shortly. While we're doing that, Matthias, this one's just for you. How does BPM, right, as a CEO of a BPM-focused company, how does BPM help bring order to the chaos as a discipline in general?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I can answer by quoting a little survey that we have done a couple of years ago, also together here with the University of Pennsylvania, and we asked 96 organizations around the world who have been very successful with a BPM discipline. What did they get out of it? Why do they feel they're successful with that? And basically each of these 96 organizations mentioned, okay, we use this notion of process to bring more transparency in our organization. Transparency, absolutely key to take fast, well-informed decisions, especially here in our digital age. However, that transparency also helps you to mitigate the trade-offs between other values that you need to achieve as a company. For example, the trade-off between quality and efficiency. We talked earlier on about call centers. If you have a call center, your client is only interested in a few activities that are there. And these are the activities where you focus on quality when you improve them. All the rest, the administration around it, no client cares about it, no client wants to pay for it. So in those areas, you focus on efficiency, on cost efficiency. And BPM provides you the transparency to take that decision and to manage the trade-offs. Same between agility and compliance, between an internal alignment and integration into external networks, or between innovation and conservation. Everybody talks about innovation, innovation, innovation. 80% of your company, of your processes, if you innovate there, will not pay off. It's important to know the 15-20% where it's worth to innovate. And again, BPM provides you the transparency to make that happen.
That's great. So if anybody in the audience has any questions, I'm going to stand up because I'm not going to see your hands. These lights are a little blinding. So you can step up to one of the microphones. So, or just raise your hands. I can't see your hands, so just start speaking. But while we're doing that, what is the most exciting digital initiative for each of you today? Either you've done it already or it's on the drawing boards. What's the most exciting digital project you might have on the drawing boards?
At Liberty, I think I talked about how we started with this strategy and we came up with these key initiatives. And one of the initiatives that have been on the sidelines for a long time has been asset management. So we're a real estate company, and you would think we would know our buildings, down to the final brick. But that's really not the way commercial real estate landlords are really set up. So we're going through a process, even now, to basically break down buildings into components and to be able to track those components and be able to look out over a period of time of what components make sense, what components are cost effective, what components are the best decisions to make, what kind of roof lasts the longest, what kind of roof is the most sustainable, what kind of HVAC equipment allows for the greatest control by an individual tenant, and be able to share that across the entire platform. That's a really kind of a transformative project that includes all of the different disciplines that we've got, whether it's property management, whether it's leasing, acquisitions and dispositions, because they all want access to that kind of information. So for us, you would think that's a fairly basic thing, but it's rather, we're kind of on the vanguard in that particular area.
I would think for us at Fox, with the big data explosion, the costs of e-discovery have gone through the roof, and we have a technology team inside of the IS department that's that supports e-discovery for our internal legal teams and for their clients. And so we've looked at new technology and new processes and solutions with a goal to make some investment, but to improve client relations, to provide really a better value, a better solution for our clients at a more cost-effective approach to them, and that might help actually improve client stickiness and even client growth. So we've implemented new technologies, new solutions, some new processes, and early on we have some good results already where we've more than doubled our revenue on a monthly basis for this team. This team is a billable team, and we're saving on average our clients 50 to 75% in their e-discovery costs when they go to alternative solutions with other vendors that specialize in this space. So it's pretty exciting, and we think that'll continue to grow for us.
So in healthcare, patient engagement is absolutely critical, and the ability for you to see your patient results, your notes the doctor writes, etc., is important. We're moving to the mobile world where if you are a patient at Cooper, you'll be able to download an app that'll allow you to get to your results. And on the other side, to help the doctors treat the patients better, we're working on the ability for them to be able to prescribe medications or place orders using mobile apps. And business analytics is another piece that's extremely important because, as I said earlier, we want to keep the patients away from the hospital. That is what really drives healthcare costs, and all of us pay for that in one way or another. So the ability to do analytics on the patients who come in to make sure there's compliance with medications and all the other things that they have to do when they're not in the hospital, we hope that it'll enable us to help reduce the cost of care and improve the quality.
So while it may not be an innovative type of project, it's a necessary type of project, we're taking a look at how standardization of data transmission and transfer within the insurance realm from our customer to their customer's customer and then ultimately to the policyholder, how can we standardize that data transmission across those various channels to make it more effective and more efficient? So we've been sitting in on conversations with other industry experts and taking a look at, hey, how can we get more effective at transmitting and sharing this data in more of a standard way so that when we are partnering with multiple customer sets and they're partnering with their insurance carriers, that we're all speaking the same transmission and the same language. So while it may not be innovative within data transmission, within the insurance realm, it's very meaningful and impactful. So we're excited about being a part of that.
Great. So I can't see if there's any hands out there, so assume that there aren't. Oh, please.
Yeah, clearly these digital solutions, particularly digital customer solutions, have a very rich stack of components that can get very complex to implement. And when you combine that with organizational change and adaptation in light of process improvement, you got a big challenge ahead of you. So very often the question becomes, where do you start? And what's considered a good first steps that creates momentum versus first steps that could create chaos and setbacks. So given that you've all been through on the front edge of getting these initiatives started, can you just comment on what you think are some of the good practices to get a program initiated on a good foot versus bad steps that could kind of set you back and cause chaos?
I'd recommend starting small, roll, crawl, walk, and then run. So at the roll stage, think about, well, what is this really going to mean to ourselves internally? How are we going to live with this initiative? And then think about, how does that impact your customer channel as well, too? How will my customers be impacted by this new initiative? And then think about also partnering with them on a pilot basis as well, too, reaching out to maybe to a couple of your key customers and saying, hey, we're thinking about coming out with this new initiative. Would you be interested in partnering with us you would be the first, to experience this, but you would also help us in defining and moving it forward as well, too. So giving them a little bit of the ownership as well, but having consensus across your team and your senior leadership team as far as what the goals are and what you're trying to accomplish, very early on is clear. And then consistency. As you're executing, make sure that you are communicating effectively. Hey, here's where we are this month. Here's where we are this month. Here's where we are this month. And then adapt over time, being agile with that implementation as well. So grow with it. Don't try to, implement a galactic system right off the set. Do it in pieces and grow with it over time, and reevaluate where you are as well too. So again, I think those are just some areas that
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement. I think getting business ownership, a lot of these projects tend to fail if it's IT driven. If you get the business involved and get the consensus and get senior leadership buy-in, they have a much higher degree of success than when it becomes another IT project. So I think the world is changing, and unless you have a business sponsor, these projects tend to die a quick death, so.
At Liberty, it was a big deal to make sure that everything we do is really driven by the strategy of the company. And getting consensus across all the different business units. So once you get that consensus, then you have to take the next step of, okay, define exactly what it is, what this initiative is all about. You have to go through that same process again. And for us, that's where you really start. It's at the what are we trying to accomplish and why are we trying to accomplish it? Because unless you really have that consensus, which our counterparts have talked about up here, you really can't succeed.
Yeah, and I agree with everything said, especially with that consensus across the organization. And I would add to that, what you need is a consensus how to set priorities, because just as you said, you will have to cut your initiative in smaller pieces that you can really digest. And if you then give to everything the same priority, you have again a problem. So you need a solid approach to prioritize across different business units so that you can really come up with manageable initiatives as you described it. And to give you there an example how it should not work, we currently work with a very big financial institution. And they have spent almost $1 billion in 4 years in various digitalization initiatives, but they did not have an agreement or a prioritization. So every business unit felt everything is the most important. So they tried to do everything at once, and they moved it forward. It's not that they were lazy, but nothing is really working because they don't have the capacity to do everything at once. So to have a very clear prioritization approach and then to focus is absolutely key.
So that's excellent. So on this note, I know there's other questions that we may have out in the audience, so I'm going to encourage you to engage with the panelists as we break. I do want to take the opportunity to thank you all for so generously sharing your time and expertise with us, and hats off to you. Thank you.
Very nice job.
Thank you very much. Likewise. That was very personal.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dean Miller, CEO, PACT.
Great panel. Thank you, Jonathan Brasington, and our panel sponsor, Fox Rothschild. You all really helped to bring some clarity to the chaos, no doubt. And if I am not brief, real chaos will ensue. So, are you enjoying Forum 15? You enjoying Forum 15? All right, all right. I am Dean Miller, President and CEO of PACT, the host of Forum. This event is really the result of a lot of hard work by the Forum Advisory Committee, and that's led by the chairman, Alan Bourne, of Fairmount Partners, but it also includes Alan Bender, it includes Michael Harrington of Fox Rothschild, Suzanne Lentz of Liquid Hub, Naresh Ramadas of Liquid Hub, Gretchen Rohde of Broadpath, Diane Strunk of PACT, and Tony Cleveland of Bentley Systems. Please join me in thanking them with a round of applause. Please also join me in recognizing our the support that we have gathered here today from many high-profile and committed sponsors. Our presenting sponsors, Fairmount Partners and Liquid Hub. Our platinum sponsors, Bentley, Comcast Business, Moss 360, MicroStrategies, and SAP. Please, a round of applause. Our gold sponsors, CRW Graphics, Dell, Boomi, Fox Rothschild, Interdata, MFL, I think I butchered that one, Penn, Quattro. Our silver sponsors, Amitech, Broadpath, Gartner, Morgan Lewis, and Saul Ewing. Again, another round of applause for all of our sponsors and support. Very quickly, 5 things. Number 1, visit the Innovation Expo if you haven't already done it. There's some terrific vendors there. You want to spend a little bit of time there. Lunch is right in and around that. Number 2, visit the demo pit. Some fantastic companies profiled in your book, but you're going to want to spend some time, again, over lunch or this afternoon, if you haven't already done so, checking out some of these companies. Number 3, new this year, we have collaborated with Philly New Tech Meetup, led by Brad Denenberg and Mike Krupit, who are both here today. They've moved their normal monthly meeting to tonight, and it's over at the Science Center starting at 6:30. So if you have an interest in an enterprise-focused Philly New Tech Meetup, they've got about 250 people registered for that. Even if you haven't registered, you're welcome to go. As part of that, the demo pit winner today will do a live demo at Philly New Tech Meetup this evening. So if you're in the demo pit, or you're a demo pit company, get ready, because if you're a winner, you got to get over to the Science Center right after that. We're really excited to be doing that with them today. 4th thing, Twitter handle. If you haven't already done so, please get on, tweet about Phorum. Hashtag Phorum15 at Phorum Philly. And last but not least, lunch is back in where the demo pit and the Innovation Expo are. Please enjoy lunch, but please be back here at 1:15. We have a great lineup this afternoon. We'll start it off with Merv Adrian of Gartner, who will do a presentation and lead a panel on using big data. Thank you.
Look for the